Has been grown in the wild forests of southwestern highlands of Kaffa of Ethiopia, which makes it the primary center of origin for the genetic diversity of coffee arabica, known as Jasmine arabica. Coffee might have been introduced to Yemen either by Ethiopians or Persians. Hence, Yemen is believed to be the secondary dispersal center for coffee. Gradually, coffee was introduced to Indonesia in 1690, to India in 1700, to the Netherlands in 1706, to Colombia in 1714, to Brazil in 1715, and back to Africa in 1877. Coffee domestication continued until it attained an important place in the social and cultural life of Ethiopians. Since 1500, at the time, coffee was one of the most commodities produced in Harar and Dauro areas of the country. It was then spread from the south to the north in the 16th century. With coffee being a commodity crop for more than 1,500 years, Ethiopia is the oldest coffee exporter in the world, though external invasions and internal conflicts have at times a negative impact on the history of the country's coffee export. In the early times, Ethiopian merchants used to transport coffee in caravans of mules and donkeys, while the export was dominated by foreigners of more than 140 different countries. The Greeks, Armenians, Belgians, Indians, Lebanese, Turks and Yemens were among the major coffee exporters. Coffee in Ethiopia is still consumed in different ways. In some parts of Ethiopia, such as Gedio and Borana, as well as in Wolaga, it's prepared for special cultural events and family occasions. A high social value is placed on coffee, possibly far and wide in Ethiopia, for quite several occasions and while welcoming guests. Coffee is one of the different types of agricultural products of Ethiopia. The country generates its foreign currency mainly from the export of coffee, followed by other items. Coffee is known to be the second important tradable item in the world, next to petroleum.
ተገኘችው እዚህ ከፋ ላይ እንዴት ተገኘ እንዴትስ አስረጃ አለበት ለምትለው
The birthplace for coffee arabica is a place called Mankia. This is one of the 17 waradas in Kaffa. This coffee type has spread far and wide in the world, typically by Arab traders, from whom the suffix Arabic has been derived and being used. For the people of Kaffa in particular, and for Ethiopians in general, coffee is considered to have everything. It is being used for welcoming guests and medical purposes, especially in healing wounds. It is also being used during matrimonial benedictions to condole the deceased. Thus, coffee has been part and parcel of Ethiopia's tradition and societal customs.
በመካከላችን ጫካ ቡናን ለመጠበቅ ጥረት እየተደረገ ነው። ከመደረገው ጥረት አንፃር ሁለት የቡና ጫካዎችን ሁለት ቦታ የሚገኙ የቡና
In our region, everything is underway so as to protect the forest organic coffee which grows naturally under the full coverage of natural forest. Among the sample preservation sites include several hectares of land in Gatawa Warada under the Kaffa zone. The other natural coffee growing areas are found in Gimbo and Bench Maji zones. Over 20,000 hectares of forest is preserved for this purpose.
Coffee Arabica originated in Ethiopia thousands of years ago before it has grown elsewhere in other parts of the world. Therefore, it's not a surprise that coffee is the most important commercial crop, contributing more than 60% to Ethiopia's foreign exchange earnings. Besides, it's estimated that nearly 25% of the Ethiopian population depends directly or indirectly on coffee. The role of coffee in the national economy is also evident in the importance the government attaches to the export crop. The government is committed to encourage the production, processing and marketing of coffee, as it has a major importance to the people and to the national economy as a whole. Conducting research, implementing of various developmental programs and the expansion of infrastructure are among the ongoing activities to enhance the overall performance of coffee production.
For years and years, the cooperative union has been paying prices to the coffee farmers, the small farmers, 200,000 in the union. And at one point, the farmers came and said, you know, now that ECX is around, we noticed that the price we're getting for our coffee corresponds to grade 7 out of 9 grades. And we see that the highest price is grade 2 price, which is 80 birr per farasulla higher. And they said, we want the higher price. So they told the manager. So the manager said, well, you know, look at the standards. You see, you got a grade 7 because the beans, you had some impurities, the moisture was too high, etc., etc. So they said, well, then we'll go do those things. So what we have seen is that there's now an incentive because of the transparent pricing by quality, which did not exist in the old system. Farmers have an incentive to do the things that they can to improve the quality and move up the value chain, and that is a real empowerment because there's no free handout. This is a market, so just because ECX exists doesn't mean that somehow everybody's going to get higher prices. That's not what it's about. It's about returns to assets and returns to commercial behavior. So if you have a system that says if you pick out the black beans and dry your coffee and process it better, you will get a higher grade and the market would fairly give you 80 birr per bag more, you will do it. So farmers are taking more money home than they used to because there is a market that's not giving them a free handout but giving them fair returns for their investment in both the production and the post-production.
agricultural-based Ethiopian economy is highly dependent on coffee export, as it contributes a lion's share to the national economy in various forms. Coffee also provides much of the employment in coffee-growing rural areas, and the means of livelihood for over 50 million people in the country. Thus, coffee is not only an important export item, but also plays a major role in the cultural life of Ethiopians. The potential for coffee production in Ethiopia is very high, since the country is endowed with suitable altitude, ample rainfall, temperature, and fertile soil. In Ethiopia, coffee grows at various altitudes ranging from 520 to 2,750 millimeters above sea level, though the bulk is produced in the eastern, southern and western parts of the country. These areas have altitudes ranging from 1,300 to 1,800 meters above sea level. Also, coffee Arabica grows based in the cold climatic zone and shady environment with an ideal temperature of 15 to 25 degrees Celsius, which is common in most of the country's coffee growing areas. There are 4 types of coffee production systems in Ethiopia. These are known with the names forest coffee, semi-forest coffee, garden coffee, and plantation coffee. 95% of the coffee produced under these systems is organic. Forest coffee grows in the south and southwestern parts of Ethiopia, such as Bale, Wallagga, Bench Maji, Kaffa, Mattu and Jimma zones. Some of these places are also origins of the coffee Arabica. This coffee type, which accounts for about 10% of the Ethiopian coffee production, has a wide diversity for selection and disease resistance breeding. It usually offers quality aroma and flavor. The semi-forest coffee is also found in the southwestern part of the country. Farmers acquire forest land for coffee farms and they select the forest trees to ensure both adequate sunlight and proper coffee bean harvest. Semi-forest coffee accounts for about 35% of Ethiopia's total coffee production. Garden coffee is usually grown in the vicinity of farmers' residences, mainly in the southern and eastern parts of the country. Garden coffee accounts for 35% of Ethiopian total coffee production. Plantation coffee includes the one owned by the state, investor and some well-managed smallholder coffee farms. In this production system, recommended seedlings are being used with all the proper treasures. Coffee is produced in 2 methods, namely dry and wet. Natural coffee is dried much